Wednesday, September 24th, 6:30 3/4. Can I get the roll call, please?
Okay, roll call. Oh, roll call. Can you hear me? Okay. We got Ellis,
Yes.
Francie, Bacon, Hodgkin,
Here.
Hubbard,
Here.
Key, here, Rito,
Here.
Swore,
Here.
Taylor,
Here.
and Mayor Orr.
Here. Thank you. If you're able, would you like to stand for the pledge of allegiance and the flag is in the record? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Council President Orr, can I get approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you. And now we're going to move into public comments, and please remember to keep your comments to 3 minutes and start off with your name and your board or your address and be kind. Thank you. Do we have anybody who'd like to speak? Thank you. Is that not working?
No, it is not. It should not.
So working now?
Yes.
3 minutes hasn't started, right? My name is Laney Werdemeyer. I reside in Montesano. I've worked for the police department for 20 years. I'm gonna start off. Most of us at some point have heard, witnessed, or personally benefited from the support and knowledge that animal control and parking enforcement provide. These situations were resolved not by chance, but by the consistent dedication of these loyal representatives of our city. Now their jobs and the essential services they provide are at risk. As part of a citywide review of department budgets, each department was asked to recommend areas for cost savings. Unfortunately, the police department recommended eliminating animal control and parking enforcement entirely. I urge you to consider the real impact this decision would have, not just on Chris, Kaylee, and George, but on the safety, order, and well-being of Aberdeen. These cuts are not just numbers in a spreadsheet, they affect real people, services, and the quality of life in our community. The safety positions are not part of the core safety of the police department is a fundamental misunderstanding of the role. Every task they perform contribute to the safety and efficiency of our city and our law enforcement officers. These positions should not be casualties of a budget cut or fiscal shortcuts. The city's financial future cannot be built by sacrificing the very people who have helped hold our community together. The dedication, loyalty, and hard-earned experience of Chris, Kaylee, and George should be honored and not discarded. As elected representatives of the city of Aberdeen, I ask that you do what they have done for decades, serve the public with care, foresight, and loyalty. Please explore other options for budget cuts and reject this recommendation to eliminate the services. Keep animal control and parking enforcement working for the citizens of Aberdeen. Let us match their decades of service with our own commitment to safe, orderly, and compassionate city.
Being Cliff Finals from Ward 4. I have a question. How many, no questions are allowed? I'm gonna sit down. It's been nice chatting. You have to push the button or we're good?
It's working.
Okay, you can hear me. I'm Norm Klein, Ward 3. I did send an email to a couple of folks on the council from the utility tax that's proposed for 2026, and I did voice my opposition to it. I feel like a doubling of that tax, that what 35 to 70, whatever it is a month, is an undue burden on a lot of people that are on limited income, seniors, whatever you may be. Are all people in that category? No, but the city needs to represent the low, the middle, and the high. I get it. The high, I will just write the check. It's good to go. But I feel like it's not fair to renters. It's not fair to people that maybe get a cost of living increase, 2%, 2.5%. You know, if you're in line with that, I think an incremental bump on the utility tax is reasonable. Most people can kind of budget that in if they're making a little bit of a wage increase or they're getting their gratuity, whatever it is, social security, pension. There's not gonna be a lot left over at the end of the month. So I feel like, the doubling is too much to ask. And I'm not against a increase, but keep it reasonable. That I feel like, you know, along with every other tax in the state, obviously the timing's not great with Olympia raising every single tax on everything that moves. So those of you that haven't bought gas lately, you know, diesel, gas, whatever, food, everything gets delivered by fuel, raises the cost of living. That leaves us less money for our local stuff, which I would rather spend money on local stuff than Olympia stuff. So that's just one of those conundrums with our state. I support I like to be involved locally, but unfortunately the state kind of takes the big chunk of our pie and doesn't leave the citizens with a lot of wiggle room when they're commuting and buying expensive gas to go to their jobs on the I-5 or wherever they live. I'm lucky because I'm semi-retired, but a lot of people are not in that position. And I feel like I need to speak up for everyone. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This makes me feel short. Again, yes, no, I am short. My name is Doreen Perez and I live in Ward 2, I believe. I come here, on behalf of George Welch, the parking enforcement, not only as a friend and as a co-worker, but as a community member as well. George has dedicated more than 25 years of his life serving Aberdeen. He is the only person in the parking enforcement role and has handled it with fairness, respect, and true commitment. Eliminating his position would not only take away his livelihood, but it would also create serious challenges for our community. Abandoned and illegally parked vehicles will go unchecked. Businesses will suffer as well. Parking near their storefronts will take up derelict or long parked vehicles unchecked. The city will lose important revenue and police officers will be pulled away from their urgent calls to deal with parking issues possibly. This isn't just about one job, it's about public safety, local business support, city resources, and the well-being of a man who has dedicated his career to this community. I respectfully urge you, please reconsider this decision of taking away his livelihood and the parking enforcement position. Thank you.
Thank you.
Howdy, my name is Ralph Bogaboom. I live on Scanlon 7th. I don't know what ward that is, but whatever ward it is, it's the best ward, the most awesome ward. I've got two things tonight. One, I wanted to say thank you so much for the curb extensions or the bulb outs or whatever they are that are over by the high school that I've been seeing downtown. I drive a lot, but I'm also a pedestrian a lot and I cycle a lot, and seeing that that commitment to safety and to improving the streets is really, really cool. I feel better when I'm out on my lunchtime walk, knowing that I am more visible and that I can be out waiting to cross the street, further out in the street and protected and visible. It's really, really cool. And other folks that I've talked to said the same thing. Really appreciate that work that's out there. Second thing, Apparently I can't ask a question, so I can't ask if it's okay for me and my friends to do a cleanup on, I think it's Williams and Fifth Street. There's that stairwell, that public stairwell. So I guess I'm just informing the council, if that's illegal and you want to arrest me for doing a cleanup on October 11th, we'll be there at 9 a.m. with my friends cleaning up garbage. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that'd like to make a comment? And then we'll move on. We'll go down to the consent agenda with council president's for.
Motion to approve tonight's consent agenda, which includes minutes from the September 10th meeting, accounts payable and payroll.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Okay, passes. I apologize, I have a long mayor's report, but I'll try and make it quick. Last Monday, Director Barnum and I met with artist Jerry Tsukawa. I think I'm right. Anyway, he was the artist who created the illumination piece of art for our library downtown. It's on the corner. Just some interesting things. I didn't realize that the bronze statue or a sculpture is filled with sand, and that makes it seem thicker and more durable. It also absorbs damage. So when those people are beating on it and stuff, the sand absorbs that, and so there's not a big dent in there. So there was only a couple little dents in it that were really big damage. Most of the damage to the art pieces on the seal coat. And Jerry said that he'd be happy to come back next year, remove that seal coat, reseal it, and most of the damage will be gone. So anyway, we're working on that. The library has said that they have the funding to pay for it, so it won't come out of any of the city's general fund. Also, one last thing about that piece of art, Jerry told me that the corner of I Street and Market is the only place in the world that you can stand and look in one direction and see his artwork, and then look in another direction and see his father's, which is the fountain here in front of City Hall. Thought that was interesting. Okay, the next thing, Director Smith and I wanted to create a review process for the council to be able to put their input in towards, just like a review. So we did come up, Director Smith came up with a questionnaire that we sent out to the council, and we're awaiting responses from that. And the purpose of this is so that we can find out from the council folks how we can work better they have the council has a wonderful bunch of ideas, and we just need to be able to communicate better with them. So I think finding out from the council how we can work better with them and increase our communication is probably a wonderful thing. So they're sending those in. I'm also asking Director Smith to create this similar review for the directors, so that I can get a better idea of how they feel administrative planning is working with them. And then I also want the same thing for myself. So we'll be doing the same thing with the council and the directors, so they can review me as well. I've been here almost 2 years, and I'm really curious to find out how we can work better to make Aberdeen better. Thank you for the council folks who've already submitted your reviews. I also wanted to talk about those bold curb bulb outs on High Street. I've gotten a lot of comments. Thank you for your positive comment. Most of the comments I got weren't very nice. So I went out there this morning and I measured, and that distance between those little white cones standing up in the white line is 10 feet. It's the same distance if there was a car parked there. So when you're navigating the street, those little bulb outs sticking out might look like they're sticking out further, but they're really no different than passing a car. So it is safe, and it does allow pedestrians to move out and cross that street quicker. Because a lot of times those cars are evenly spaced and they're too close for people to get out. And standing on the curb does not make people stop, unfortunately. So when you're out in the street, they actually are required to stop. So anyway, love those. The last thing I wanted to mention was, I've been talking to Blue Zone. And if you don't know what Blue Zone is, it's areas of the country where people live longer. They're healthier and they live longer. Most of that has to do with parks, access to parks, healthy food, and the medical care. So my little part is I would like us to have connecting trails, one on the south side and one on this side of the river, that connects a walking path between our parks so that our senior citizens who used to walk the South Shore Mall, who no longer can do that, have a safe marked route to walk, and then it'll connect with parks and have workout stations. It all sounds expensive, but it can all be done 100% with grants and public funding. So that's the direction I'm working in. I just wanted to let you guys know that's one of the projects I'm interested in. As also adding a bicycle trail that's not on 101 between Aberdeen and Oakland. So our students who ride their bikes, young people don't have to ride on the main drag. They can be a little bit safer. Anyway, that was my comment. I'm going to move to council reports. Are there any council members that have a report? Councilperson Morrison.
Council subscribes to Association of Washington Cities emails or at all, but on the latest honor roll, our mayor was on there for receiving his certificate of municipal leadership. And so I just want to recognize that because he's always so quick to recognize our achievements. So congratulations and well done, Mr. Mayor.
Janellis.
Yes, I was able to sit in on the city's audit for 2024. And it went really well. Our financial systems are in good order. And that was really nice. Took a lot of work on the part of our city staff and city administrator. And it's good that we're moving into 2026 in good standing. It's important.
Can I just say real quick that also, since Administrator Clemens has been here, we have had all good audits. It changed instantly when she got here, so kudos. All right, thank you. Any other council? No? Okay, and we'll move on to staff reports. Administrator Clemens.
Before you have a report from the city administrator. There is some information on the preliminary budget update. Again, when you've heard a couple testimonies or tonight, public comment tonight on the budget. Last year, we were able to freeze and cut unfilled position, and this year we are having a lot more difficult time working through the budget. So we will have to consider staff reductions as part of our plan to stabilize the city's finances. So the primary focus of our 2026 budget is to balance it in a way that secures the city's future. And historically, the city has spent more money than it has brought in, and this practice must stop. So one of the things that we had talked about, at the rate that the city is spending down its reserves and its uncommitted funds, we will possibly look into bankruptcy in about 5 years. So now is the time to act. And so the budget that we will be presenting to you at the end of October will reflect the cuts that we need to make to continue financial solvency for the city. City engineer Nick Bird and I met with our first group of legislators. We met with Representative Jim Walsh and Representative Joel McIntyre this week to give them updates on our infrastructure projects. Later, namely the railroad separation project on Highway 12. We will be meeting with other legislators as as the weeks progress, so we will have that as well. And, we will be also meeting with, Greater Grace Harbor to talk about our legislative, priorities for the next session. I believe that Chief Green already made this announcement of it, yesterday, and I attended the Grace Harbor 911 Administrative Board. And I wanted to just, reiterate what Chief Green has already told all of you, maybe at the last meeting, that, our call volume for 911 went up slightly. So there was about a $3,000 increase. That was a little over 1%. So, our monthly cost will increase to be about $27,655 per month for the year of 2026. Lastly, just a little note for any business owners that might be online or might be here tonight. The council so graciously authorized the use of council discretionary funds for micro grants through the Downtown Aberdeen Association. And one of the things that they said they're having a difficult time with is business owners and property owners actually submitting for reimbursement. It's a reimbursement-based program. And so if they don't submit those reimbursements on time, they don't qualify for the reimbursements. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there. If you know any business owners or property owners that have applied for the program, despite Downtown Aberdeen Association's best efforts, they're not really getting compliance, and it's actually the property owner or business owner that's out of this like opportunity. So just thought I would put that out there as something. So you may have authorized a certain amount for those out of your discretionary funds, but they may not all get used this year. So, and that's my report. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Any other staff? Oh, you're gonna do it.
Stacy Barnum, Parks Director. I have a couple items on the agenda tonight. The first item is the request to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement with the Washington State Recreation and Conservation Office to accept the $450,000 grant for the artificial turf of the infield of Pioneer Field 3. Finance Chair Prada will have an amendment to the committee report. It states that the match is $50,000. It's actually $58,000. And at this time, I'm confident that Austin has identified all funding sources needed to cover the $58,000 match. In addition, the Public Works Department is assisting with the design to help with costs as well as the site prep. Did anyone have any questions on the grant? Yes.
So the grants for AstroTurf, right?
Yes, artificial turf.
Does it contain PFAS or PFOS, or is it AstroTurf grant?
When we send out the request for proposals for the product, we will give the scope of work or the design so that the specifications are there for the size of the facility, and also specifications for any minimum requirements for products that are used. We like to leave that request to give the vendors some flexibility to provide us a variety of products to choose from. There's more than one way to put artificial turf on a field, I guess you could say. Whether those products are used in there, that would be something that we would review in the proposal that's provided to us from the vendors. No, usually, once you receive those proposals, you go through those proposals and you can narrow it down to one to three or two to three vendors that you can then meet with and ask additional questions. That contract would come to you as a council to also review. But I am aware of your concerns, and also Councilperson Alice has provided me her concerns as well. So those will be taken into consideration. Yes. Any other questions? All right. And then the other item on the agenda is the appointment, the mayor's appointment to the Museum Collections Committee. We had someone that left the Collections Committee, and we had someone that submitted a letter of interest. And lastly, I'm hoping that Council President Swore is going to bring up for discussion the possibility of having a workshop with the council on October 15th to discuss the future of the museum and 118 West Wichita. Thank you.
The director. Any other directors like to make a report? No? Okay, so we'll move on to our presentation. We have Barbara Strong here tonight.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us. My name is Sherilyn Stevenson. I'm the coordinator for Harbor Strong Coalition.
I'm Jerry Salstrom. I'm one of the team leaders from Coalition.
It's not as big as the slides that we.
That's it.
So you can go to the next. So who are we as a coalition? Harbor Strong Coalition is made up of a variety of different individuals and businesses and different sectors from around the community. We have people from youth serving organizations, from government. I'm housed at public health, so that's where I work. All of our members are volunteers from all of the different sectors, except for myself. We have people from law enforcement, religious and fraternal organizations, businesses, media, youth themselves, school staff, parents, etc. Next one, please. And what exactly do we do as a coalition? So we are a youth substance misuse prevention coalition. So we work to prevent youth from starting to use drugs in the first place. We do this through a variety of different educational, community action, and shared commitments to healthy, positive living in the community. Lots of different activities I'll talk more about in just a second. This QR code here, if you guys can actually see it, takes you to our newly designed and developed website, which was done by another one of our coalition members, Cynthia McGowan, who was hoping to be here tonight but wasn't feeling well, so she wasn't able to be with us. But she's done a fantastic job on that. And so you can find contact information for us there on our website. Also feel free to contact me or Jerry or Cindy or herself, if you're interested in joining the coalition at all. We're always accepting new members. So overall, our goal in the community is just to prevent or reduce substance misuse among youth and overall to strengthen the community through those things that we do. Next slide, please. So the way that we work to try and affect this reduction in substance use in youth is to try to reduce risk factors in the community and try to increase protective factors in the community. So risk factors might be things like access to drugs, social influences, social norms, things like that. So one of the programs that we do is our medication lockbox program, where we work with different medical providers to provide medication lockboxes for their patients. We also table at community events. You might have seen our tables out there, different events, and we'll provide medication lockboxes for free to community members at these events as well. Increasing protective factors might be things like promoting healthy relationships with youth and adults in their life, whether it's a teacher, a coach, a parent, just promoting, healthy modeling behaviors, healthy relationships with them. When youth have a support person in their life that's there to listen and support them, they're much less likely to start to use substances in the first place. Another thing we do is parenting programs. We provide evidence-based programs like parenting programs and school programs in schools for youth to participate in that also help reduce those risk factors and increase protective factors. Okay, next one, please. So the Help in the Harbor website is the website that our coalition is on, that was created by our coalition members, Cynthia McGowan, and this was initially developed this spring when we got an additional grant for our, not just our coalition, but for the county overall to do an opioid prevention media campaign. And I wish I could show you some of the videos today, but we don't have enough time. But Cindy and I, worked together with, P&W web designers and a lot of local individuals. We had one of our coalition members from the Aberdeen Police Department, some of our staff members from public health, parents from the community, and then youth from the schools. Even as far out as Ocean Shores, we had a couple of youth participate, all in creating these healthy, positive message, healthy life promotion videos. So about preventing substance use. So it might be something like strengthening relationships with your friends or having a trusted adult. We had one youth that wanted to talk about overdose prevention, as far as, not taking strange pills and stuff like that for fentanyl overdose prevention. So we kind of let people decide what they wanted their messaging to be about in our videos. So please, feel free to check out our Help in the Harbor website. It has a link to our YouTube channel where you can see all the videos that we developed. We ended up with 14 videos from this campaign. They're just short 30-second little ads. We had about 10 in English, 4 in Spanish, and we were under a lot of pressure at the last minute to get all this done, but we were able to get it done and are really proud of our campaign that we were able to finish. Okay.
Next slide, please. Yeah, as you know, I've been here before, for several reasons, starting a couple of years ago when we did Miller Junior High's centennial. I've been working with kids in the school district for 56 years now. And I see a lot of the needs that our kids have. And one of the number one things we need to do a better job of is connecting not only our kids to the community, but our community to the kids. And that's how I got involved with both the museum efforts and now with Harbor Strong. Here are a couple of videos. I've been doing a lot of research, going to a lot of workshops on these issues of teen substance abuse and mental health issues. There are two up here that I hope you'll get a chance and you'll receive copies of these slides, I believe, so that you can collect on these. One of them is a testimony a year ago at U.S. Senate from a girl from Seattle who testified how she got involved with vaping. This was a Senate hearing on the tobacco industry and how they're targeting our kids. I would advise you to watch this, about a little over 4 minutes long. That story that she tells is the story of many of our kids, if not half of our kids here in Aberdeen. The other one is another Senate hearing I saw just 2 weeks ago tonight. This was on the Meta company, Mark Zuckerberg, with both AI and virtual reality. It scared me to death. They're talking about how they target kids, the things that are happening to them. And so it's a 2-hour session. That the times on there, they're a little off because it's a little different source that we got. But it's about 20 minutes of the chairman of the committee introducing it, and she gives a good overall picture of what the whole Senate hearing is about. And then it's one of the testimony from 2 of the whistleblowers from Meta talking about how they hide the research that shows what they're doing to kids. I really think everybody in the community should watch that. We have others that I've watched the last couple of weeks about the use of technology and what's that's doing to our kids. So the reason we're here tonight is to invite you to something we call a key leader event. We had one last May, the mayor attended. We had 56 people show up, and that event was about mental health for kids. Out of that meeting, we had a discussion of the attendees there. The theme this time is the impact of social media on our youth. So the format is we'll have introduce our coalition and tell people what that's about that we're doing tonight. Oh, next slide. Yeah, thank you. And then we'll have a guest speaker. We'll also have Officer Mitchell from the Aberdeen Police Department talk about their relationship with kids in the street and how social media affects their interaction with them. And then we'll have discussion groups. And I think that's one of the most effective part of our meeting last year, where we can share that information, exchange things, come up with ideas, brainstorm things, and that usually leads to what we plan to do for the next one. We hope to follow this up again in the spring for another one. So when I get home tonight, I'm going to send you that save the date invitation. I've got all your emails. And there's a barcode, there's a QR code on there. This is by invitation only, so that we can plan and know how many people we have. But if you know other people that you're associated with would like to come, get me their emails and I will send them an invitation also. So I'll send that to you when I get home tonight. And I'm hoping to, as many of you as can be there as possible. We changed the date this time so we didn't conflict with the school board meeting. We just found out, though, I found out yesterday, the same night as the 100+ Harvard Women Who Care event. So we're gonna lose a lot of those people that would attend. So we'll hope to get all of you to fill in the gap there. So thank you. We want to see you there. This is a big issue for our kids. It really is. And we'll have more information at that meeting.
But not least, how can you help? So, you can talk to your friends and loved ones about substance use early on. Participate with the coalition, like us on our social media, Facebook, Instagram, share a post, comment. And then last but not least, join the coalition. If you can join us, we would really appreciate that. And that's all. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next presentation is by Kara Denver, and it's to be on our revenue projections.
Evening, Council, Sarah Dunbar, Contract CPA. This is the first kickoff to the 2026 budget. If we can go to the third page, please. We have a table in there. Probably very small, but maybe you can look at it in your packets. So this is for the general fund only, and the real reason that we're doing this is to give council time to consider the preliminary revenue estimates prior to determining whether to adopt a 1% increase in property tax or not. I'll go through a couple of highlights in these estimates. The theme of it is we're projecting an increase of approximately 2.6% or $557,000 over the 2025 budget, but actually a slight decrease in revenue from 2025 actuals to 2026 projections. This is in line with conservative budget principles. So while you'll see an increase budget to budget, you'll see stability when you look at projections for 2025 versus what we're estimating for 2026. So for property taxes specifically, the first thing you might notice is, well, it's a 3% increase from 2025 to 2026, but we have a 1% legal limit. The reason is that the 2025 projections include new construction revenue of approximately $66,000. The actual 1% increase would be $34,000 for 2026. The reason the budget for 2025 and the projections are not the same is that we don't know what the new construction actual increase will be until after the budget's adopted. So there's always that variance there. Typically, we do not estimate what the new construction will be because we don't want to count on revenue that we don't know if we're getting or not. Sales tax is projected to increase about 3.7% over 2025. This is good. We're seeing really high sales tax numbers this year. The bad thing is that it's mostly based on construction. So it's not based on an actual true sustainable increase in retail sales tax, but rather one-time revenue. I've bumped down the projections for 2026 just slightly from what we're anticipating to bring in 2025. We do expect construction activity to continue, but we don't want to fully count on it being as high as it has been. Really, we want to see our actuals coming in at or a little bit above what we project rather than go the other way and project too high and count on too much revenue. Other factors in here, both licenses and permits and charges for services reflect significant increases in permitting activity and building fees. These numbers are consistent with the numbers that are coming in for 2025. We believe that the activity will continue into 2026 at similar levels. We're not projecting an increase above 2025 activity, but rather projecting that things will continue along the same as they have been. Grant revenue is increasing $150,000. This is a state DUI grant for an existing police officer that will continue for the full calendar year and into 2027. So that's new revenue. The big decrease is in interest revenue. So we budgeted 2025 revenue to be based on interest rates above 4%. They are still maintaining above 4%, which is, it's going on longer than I thought it would. We did bump down the 2026 projections to be based on a return of 3%. I still think long term, this is overly relying on an unstable revenue source. LGIP rates have been as low as 0.2% in my career. So that would drop your $1.6 million of revenue down to almost zero. So it's good when we look at 2026 budget, and not so good when we think about long-term financial stability of the city. In summary, we're looking at, again, about a $556,000 increase in revenue. However, if you recall, the 2025 general fund budget was adopted with a deficit of $800,000. So we've used armory funds as approved by council to close that gap in 2025. The revenue increases for 26 aren't even going to close that deficit that we had, let alone account for cost increases of any sense. So this is before we factor in cost of living adjustments, medical insurance increases, which we're told could be up to 10%. These are huge increases in our biggest expenditure lines, which are salaries and benefits. So this is the revenue summary for the general fund. You will see full revenue estimates for all funds at the second meeting in October, as well as the mayor's preliminary budget. We may still continue to update these estimates if we get new information, if we need to. Any changes, of course, will be communicated in each version of the budget as we did last year. And I'd be happy to take questions on any of this.
Thank you. All right, request for council action, budget finance chair Fredo.
We're requesting the council approved the RCO grant for $450,000, but we'd like to implement it so that the matching funds, instead of being $50,000, are now $58,000. Doing this right.
Council President.
I wanted to add a further amendment. Do we need to vote on this one first?
Yes.
Yes.
Want to amend it?
I,
Second it?
no,
Didn't.
All right.
but I want to amend it before we vote on it.
It's one amendment.
Yeah, it's
So we-
already amending it.
So I think that we need to vote on the amendment as stated, and then we can move on
Yeah.
to further amendments.
Okay, is there any other discussion? All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Yes. No.
It passes. One no vote.
So it seems a little out of whack. We just passed something that I wanted to amend. It seems to me that if we're going to send out requests for proposals, we need to be very clear in those requests that we want to see alternatives presented to the city that include the non-use of crumb rubber as part of the installation. If we don't ask for it, we're not gonna get it. People are gonna go with what's typical. And I think that's important for us to consider.
Director Bachman?
I'd just like to mention that tonight you're voting on whether or not the mayor signs the contract. If you want to have stipulations on what type of product is used on the field, you should save that for when the contract comes to you or the request for proposals. Because making that motion is not binding within this contract.
Comments?
Go ahead.
Since plastics were discovered in 1907, they became commonly used as electrical insulators, radio casings, and appliances. In the 50s, they were celebrated as being made for disposable convenience. In the 60s, rafts of plastic garbage were seen floating out in the ocean, collecting on beaches and filling up landfills. Plastic has been seen inside marine plankton, the basis of the food web for fish we eat. When I was a lab tech for a marine lab in the 70s and 80s, we regularly saw marine tube worms incorporating plastic into the construction of their tubes. A 2024 study of plastics and human health compared microplastics in human brains over 9 years and saw an increase of 50%, amounting to the equivalent of a plastic spoon in weight. Our brains are now 95.5% brain matter and 0.5% plastic. Plastic is also in our other organs, our bones, blood, and lungs. It causes inflammation, which makes us more susceptible to infection and is associated with endocrine disease, birth defects, cancer, reproductive problems, and heart attacks. Microplastics are in the food we eat, the air we breathe, and often in the dust particles in our homes. Plastics don't go away. They just break down into smaller pieces that even do more harm. There's evidence that current levels of obesity, heart disease, and cancer are related to the abundance of micro and nanoplastics. Children are showing more prevalence of thyroid cancer and autoimmune diseases. Plastics have been found in children's tonsils. We don't need a plastic softball field that at best lasts 20 years and then gets landfilled after shedding more microplastic into the environment and contaminating children. What we need is a better field, regraded, designed with drainage, where kids can continue to slide into home base, come home a bit dirty, but breathing clean air and not bringing microplastics into the home to contaminate their families. We are on track to produce 450 million metric tons of plastic per year, expected to triple by 2026. Our community can make a choice. Washington State now requires restaurants to ask customers if they need cutlery to go, rather than providing more unneeded single-use plastic. We can choose not to drink from plastic water bottles and single-use cups. We can buy products in glass jars when available and store food in glassware. We can choose to give our families outdoor sports experience that is healthy and doesn't require an expensive redo in 15 or so years. I cannot support the convenience of a plastic artificial turf field for our softball players in light of these health concerns for our planet and for our community, which already suffers from some of the highest cancer rates in our state. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other comments? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
It passes. Thank you.
Yes. Now we're just bringing forward, the, recommendation of the, utility rate commission. So we request the council to authorize the finance director to create and develop a credit and debit card transaction policy and implementation of a service fee or convenience fee to offset the cost of processing credit and debit card transactions. The city, it costs the city $11,000 to $14,000 a month to process these. So, I made the first passes.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this? Councilperson Ellis.
I wanted to thank the utility rate committee for bringing this before us. It's a very smart move for us to take.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Passes. Approved adopted.
Okay, next is we authorize the finance director to create and implement a roundup of recurring donations program.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? It's adopted.
I could authorize the finance director to adjust the current low income senior rate to 200% from 300% of the federal poverty rate.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? 2 noes. Adopted.
A resolution. It is recommended that the city council approve the resolution updating the fees and charges for the city's ambulance and emergency services utility as allowed in AMC 1380-090 and 1380-110. Take a motion, we approve this.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? Councilperson Morris?
I'm not gonna sit and belabor this because I'm pretty sure I know how this is going to go. And you all know what I'm gonna say, but I just want to put it out there. I just cannot in good conscience support giving this to the community when I know for a fact that most people cannot afford this. So I'll be a no.
Any other comments? Oh, I'm sorry. Councilperson Gracie.
Well, I understand updating the rates will be disastrous to the city's budget. Raising the rates to 100% cost recovery will double the EMS rates that our citizens pay. With a fifth of the population in poverty, I think an immediate raise to 100% will negatively affect a good portion of the population. I'm more in favor of raising it in a staggered way. Like raising the rates to 50% cost recovery in the first year, and then 75 in the second, and then the third year to 100%. I'm not sure if I can make a motion about that right now, or would that be like, we say no, and then we have to give suggestions to the committee?
Yeah, what we're voting on is for the 100% recovery. We can't arbitrarily just make up rates.
Okay.
We would have to go out and do another rate study. So, yeah, what's on the table today is full cost recovery, but again, like, we just throw numbers out there or percentages out there. It's not founded in any kind of accounting principles like where someone is investigating whether has to do the research and figure that out. So that's typically the route we would go. Is hiring an expert to say, yes, you can do that because the rate is at 100%, it is gradual. And so, it's already graduated into to fit what the cost is going to be. That
Okay, that makes sense.
I think that's the practice that the city has done, is just arbitrarily throwing out numbers. Let's just make it $10 this year and $12 the next year, and that's how we are where we are. It's not, that means that putting a number out there would mean that we would have to figure out how it's going to impact the EMS rate as well, and how much we're going to pull out of that. That would be a whole calculation. So we would have to come back to you and figure out what that would look like, or and we would have to hire, again, a rate expert to come in and determine that. That is something that we did pass by them, but to figure out those kind of figures, this was the best way that they could figure out numbers for us, and they did present those figures for us, and we presented that to you in the spreadsheet that was provided with the graphs. So I understand, but that's kind of our position. I don't know if Chief Golding wants to chime in on. Yeah.
Go ahead, Council.
So,
Sorry, go ahead.
if we vote no, then we can come back again with the possibility of staggering it, right?
I mean, if you vote no, you're voting no, and it would be status quo. And so there would be no,
No, I mean, if we all voted no, or however, then we can come back and stagger it with the suggestion of staggering it. It's not an all or nothing, is what I'm saying.
I would say it depends on what your definition of staggering is. Creating a whole new staggering not already identified within the cost of service study, or sticking with something that was already established within the cost of service study. To kind of reiterate what City Administrator was just saying is the cost of service study has these established rates that are justifiable and defendable. If we go off on our own, then we're kind of outside of that sandbox. My personal opinion does kind of leave those rates up to question. Really, how did you get to that already? Well, we just picked a number. I'm personally, I'm not comfortable with that. I like the set rates that the experts told us as to where we should be.
I like the set rates too, as the fact we could all afford it. But not everybody can afford that. I mean, if we were all making over 100,000, it wouldn't be a problem.
Councilperson Ellis.
Seems like it was about a year ago that we were here talking about the same thing. And we spent a long time looking at the rate study, looking at what that meant in terms of increased rates and the different options and the effect on our general fund by not doing anything or prolonging the getting the rates to pay for the costs. We punted that decision basically to an advisory committee of 5 or 6 people. They worked really hard for the last many months and presented their findings to us. It was a unanimous recommendation that we adopt the resolution that's before us today. We can no longer keep pushing this down the road. Yes, it's going to be hard. And yes, expenses are going up. Not all of that is the responsibility of local governments. Costs have been going up because of, in my opinion, very unnecessary tariffs that are raising the cost of food and clothes and other household items. We at the local level need to conduct our business in a responsible manner. We've got to stay ahead of increasing costs. We've got to be able to provide quality EMS service to our seniors, our youth, and everybody else. And what's before us? Yes, it's a tough pill to swallow, but I think the responsible thing is we vote this forward today, and I hope we do.
And Councilperson Perigin.
Okay, so if we vote this down tonight,
then the city continues to carry the burden, and we're already operating in a deficit. And we were told tonight that we could face bankruptcy in 5 years. This would help prevent that. And it's a tough decision, but if the city bankrupts, then everybody's bankrupt, and then we have no emergency services anyway. And what happens if we vote no? Well, we have to get rid of services. We'll have to start billing people separately. And the people who need it the most can't afford it. So they wouldn't be able to just call 911 because they would get the bill later because the city cannot fund it anymore. So that's about, I'm gonna vote yes. Because I don't want my mother getting a separate bill. She was on a fixed income. I want her to be able to call 911 whenever she needs to. That's me.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I have one.
I can't see what that is. Okay, Councilperson Hubbard.
Forgive me, I'm in Canada and I don't have any of the paperwork from our workshop with me, but I seem to recall, and maybe Chief Golding can confirm this, but it sounds like one of the concerns is that we want to stagger these costs. And I feel like we were given a graph at that workshop that showed that these costs already would be staggered over the next few years. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, so it sounds to me like we already are doing that, and so that hopefully would address those concerns about staggering those costs.
Thank you. Is there any other comments?
Mr. Mayor, if it's not any trouble, I'd like to request that this be a roll call vote, please.
Okay.
Ellis,
Yes,
Francie,
Yes.
what was that?
Yes.
We have Aiken, who is absent. We have Hodgkin,
No.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Lawrence,
No.
Mackey,
Yes.
Morrison,
No.
Parachini,
Yes.
Fredo,
Yes.
Swore,
Yes.
Taylor.
No.
Uh, 7 yeses and 4 noes.
All right, it passes. Thank you, everybody. Now we move on to public safety with Council Chair Pericini.
We would like to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with LiveView Technologies mobile surveillance unit. The contract, and what it does is it looks like the unit that was in the Safeway parking lot that monitors people and then reminds them to move on. And it helps prevent that and people loitering and we've had it parked in 2 separate places and it actually is helping prevent theft and all kinds of stuff. So I would like to have this approved.
It's been first and second. Is there any comments? Councilperson Ellis.
as I read through the contract, it looked like there's a fee for relocating the unit of like $4,000. And is that relocating it from one spot to another spot within town or?
That's if they relocate it. We have the ability to pick it up and move it, and then they just have to adjust the cameras. So yeah, that it is $4,000 each time they have to come down from King County to relocate the park.
So if we move it, we still have to pay them to readjust the cameras and the other settings?
I believe that that's already built in, like it's something that is included. So no, the relocation, if they have to come down and physically relocate it for us, then that's where the charge would be.
I recall there were 2 separate charges outlined. One was to relocate and the other was to reset. that was in addition to the several $1,000s of leasing. Is buying an option?
Yes, for $55,000 for the unit. If the council would like me to consider that, I can look into what the additional cost would be for that, if the software is separate. So at this point, I didn't know if the city would be interested in keeping this long term. So I felt like a year, having it for the 30 days has been very successful. It worked immediately as it was supposed, before it even went online, the mere presence of it cleared out the alley. And so, yeah, if the council is interested in purchasing it, we can definitely discuss it with them.
Given the price of the lease, it could, pay for itself in like a year and a half. And if it's working effectively, then we might even be able to get some public safety grant money to cover that cost. I would like to have that looked into.
Yeah, we can look into it. The reason it was brought before you is we're within that 30-day trial and they needed some sort of like agreement that the city council was interested in leasing it or purchasing it in order for them to not have to move it again. If they took it back to King County or they took it back to their location and brought it back, we would be charged a fee.
So can we agree to lease it and would they be okay with us buying it a month or two later?
If that is what, yes.
Okay.
And we can do that if that's something the council is interested in. To negotiate that.
Yeah, sounds like a good way of going.
Any more discussion? Councilperson Taylor.
I just have a question. I understand the need for it and that is great. Is this paid for through grants or anything?
No, so there were vacancies that we had this year. And so we have it built into the budget, because of those vacancies. So for instance, the finance director budget was left vacant for, the half of the year. And so that's how we were able to fit this into the budget.
Okay, because I was just curious, because I mean, we're all in crunch time here and we're cutting people's jobs and all that, but we're putting out $33,000 or whatever it is for it.
Right. I don't know if you recall the issue that we were having on F Street between First and Second. That neighborhood was kind of expecting us to park a police officer in that neighborhood, and they were expecting constant patrol. We don't have the resources or the staffing to be able to provide constant service. Our police officers are wonderful and they do their best and they are very dependable, but financially, it doesn't make sense for the city to park an officer there all day long in the event, because what would happen is officers would drive by and patrol and the activity would scatter. And when the officer was gone, the activity would reconvene and a phone call goes out. And so having this like presence there really deters a lot of the activity. And like I said, immediately when it was parked, the activity in the alley stopped. We don't see any. We've heard directly from those business owners, Peak Bank and the Costco place, and then A1 Roofing have all said the activity in the alley, it's been wonderful. They thank the city for piloting the program with them. The Quinault Enterprises was very impressed by it, that they are now purchasing several for their locations. And then the Timberland Regional Library, and hearing the success that we've had with it, are now looking into purchasing it. So I believe it's an effective tool. And again, as we lack officers and we have big officer vacancies and it allows our police officers to use it for evidence. They're able to like scan the video for any kind of evidence, or if they're looking for people. I just think it's an additional tool, no different than our drones, no different than anything else that we purchase for our officers. It's an additional tool that can help keep our neighborhoods safe. And it's effective. We've proven that. I think you have photos of kind of like how effective it is.
Yeah, like I said, I understand the importance of it. I do. I fully understand it. It's just thinking about how many people, whose jobs are on the line here and we're buying this stuff. So
I understand.
Well, I think we've had a constant issue and lots of complaints from our neighbors, you know, to solve some of these issues, so I think it's essential. We spend a lot of money on this, that, and the other. I just think this would really help people that have kind of suffered in certain areas with a lot of traffic.
Any other comments?
Thank you, Mayor. Given the level of support for this, it seems like we could maybe get a partnership between some of the local businesses and the city to help pay for it, purchasing it, in lieu of applying for a grant. But I bet there's also grant money out there available too. And if we pass this, it would be good to know that that's something you look into.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Thanks. Great for what we have in our city. All right, now we'll move on to Public Works with Council Chair Francie.
All right, I've got two items to briefly talk about. As we're working through the ADA transition, the Americans with Disabilities Act, there will be a public comment period in October 29th to November the 12th. And there will be a council presentation on November 12th. Our target adoption date is December 10th. And the other item is the Market Street signals. The signals have been covered, and please use caution while drivers acclimate to the revision. Okay, we've got a public hearing. So I'm requesting that the city council to hold a public hearing on the upcoming pump station improvements project, meeting regulatory requirements that are tied to the funding agreement. I move that we accept this.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're in open public hearing.
Oh. As far as I understand, we're scheduling the public hearing? No. So we just. Okay, then I move that we open the public. Sorry, I wanted to make sure.
Is there any comments? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, public hearing is closed.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, we got three reports. First one is authorize the Public Works Director to execute amendment number 1 for task order number 26 with HDR for the Division Street Pump Station project. I move that we accept this for.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's adopted. Thank you.
Okay, our second one is to authorize the mayor to sign the interlocal agreement allowing for street sweeping and reimbursement between the city of Aberdeen and Grace Harbor Transit. Move that we accept this report.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Passes.
Okay, our third report is requesting that city council authorize the public works director to execute on-call task order number 2 with Montrose with a not to exceed amount of $84,335. I move that we accept this request.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Okay, our last thing is a resolution. It's a resolution setting the date for a public hearing on the proposed vacation of a portion of the alley between Union Pacific lots 10 and 11, block 47, and Union Pacific lots 1 through 9, incorporated block 47, setting the public hearing for October the 22nd, 2025. Literally set the state.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion adopted.
That's all from Public Works.
Thank you. And we'll move on to the special agenda items with Council President Swart.
Okay, we have a request that the city council confirm the mayor's appointment of Christy Churchill to the Museum Collections Committee. I move we adopt this report.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Adopted.
Okay. Under ordinances, we have a request that the city council approve of one-time increase to a higher threshold from $2,000 to $4,000 for out-of-city businesses to require obtaining a business license within the city. This is a mandatory model ordinance change with an effective date of January 1st, 2026. I move we adopt this report.
Is there any discussion on this? Councilperson Morris?
So just to be clear, this is a mandate from the state, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's adopted. All right, thank you. Now we'll go back to public comments. Is there anybody else with a public comment? If there is, please keep it to 3 minutes and start with your name and your board member. You're right.
Les Bolton, Ward 4. Love the ball bats, by the way. Thank you. That's good. The other thing that I wanted to thank you for was approving that rate hike tonight. And I know that was a very difficult thing to do. And I know it's going to be difficult for a lot of people, but we do have a program that allows people to apply for a discount. And we passed that tonight. So, this is a tough time financially and you're looking at laying people off. And so it's just a hard one to take, but I just wanted you to know, I appreciate how difficult that is and thank you for voting that in. We don't love paying more, but I want unions. I want the police department. And that's important. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Seeing none, we'll go on to good of the order. Anybody have anything for the good of the order?
I have something.
Right, Council President Swart.
I'd like to make a motion for us to have a workshop on October 15th at 6 p.m. to discuss the future of the museum.
Is there any discussion on this?
I have just a quick question. I've seen all the awesome stuff that's going on with the museum, like the mural stuff, that's great, and I've had a lot of questions from people about it. So I was just kind of curious, what is the current status of the commerce contract between the city and Commerce for 118 West Christian?
We just finalized those contracts. We went, so we have to kind of put the title of our building up. Basically we're telling Commerce that we commit to using their funds, and basically similar to what we did with the Gateway, that we plan to use their funds. And if we don't fulfill that or we spend any of that money, we will pay them back.
And so has that contract been signed
Yeah, so that authorized, I think I was authorized to sign.
on June 11th? So you signed the contract? or
Not on
the
June
mayor?
11th, it was just recently.
Oh, because I know that there was something that the council approved, you know, giving you signed documents, but I wasn't sure if that was the contract. So you signed it or did the?
I
mayor
did,
sign it?
I did, that's what you authorized, is for me to just go ahead and sign the title and stuff over, not sign it over, but to basically work with them.
When is this gonna come before the council?
That's what we want to talk about at the workshop, is to talk about, whether or not we want to move forward with it. And again, it's not a contract, it was more like, we're saying that we are committing, like, if we use, this is the building that we're going to use the funding on. Here's the title of it, so it's a partnership, basically, what we're doing.
So we haven't received any funds of anything yet?
Yeah, no.
Thank you.
So before October 15th, could we have a general idea of what the museum is going to cost us per month and how we're gonna budget that in? So we can discuss that.
Any other comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passed. Thank you. Anything else for the good of the order? All right, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. We're now adjourned. Have a wonderful evening.